want to say welcome, everyone, to our April 15th, 2024 Oakwood Board of Education meeting. We're very excited to have you. And if we could get the roll call, please.
Mr. Ryder is absent. Ms. DiLorenzo?
Present.
Ms. Kawhi? Dr. Middleton?
Here.
And Mr. Wilson?
Here. Would you all please rise and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to adopt tonight's agenda, please? Advisor?
Ms. DiLorenzo? Okay, my apologies. Dr. Middleton?
Aye.
Ms. Kawhi? Ms. DiLorenzo?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye. And next, can I get approval of Oakwood Board of Education regular meeting minutes of March 11, 2024, please?
So moved. Second.
Call the roll.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
Aye.
Dr. Middleton?
Aye.
Ms. Kawhi?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilson?
Aye. Next up is 2A, new hires. Good evening. We will be voting on them later, but we do have two staff members that, for some open positions that we've had. We go through an extensive process with committees and interviewing. I appreciate Mrs. Couch and the team, the principals, for their due diligence. And I'm happy to bring up, and I'm going to have them come up to the podium, and they're going to introduce themselves and just tell a little bit about themselves. But if I could first have Logan Baker go to the front. Again, we'll be talking about him in a little bit as far as the voting goes, but you'll see later in the agenda that he earned his bachelor's degree in middle science education from my university, where I attended, so congratulations. And he'll be at the junior high teaching social studies.
Thanks, I'm Logan Baker.
So you might have to flip it on.
Oh, okay.
Is it on?
Just super excited to be here. I was able to work here for a little while when I was in college as an administrative assistant. I was able to coach here for a couple of years and tutor some kids, get some community service hours in while I was in college. And this place was it was an awesome opportunity for me to get an idea of what the education was like. Once I told everybody, the state of excellence here is, it's unheard of, and everybody that talks about Oakwood, it permeates. And so when I told people that I might be able to be a teacher here, everybody's like, "Oh, you're a big fancy Oakwood guy." But it's just because they know the requirements you guys have for your teachers and your students, and it's just really exciting to be a part of that. And I have a really high expectation for myself coming into this role, and I know you guys do too. So I won't let you down, and thank you for the opportunity, and just really excited to get started. Thank you.
And the next person I'd like to ask to come to our podium is Mr. Benjamin, goes by Ben Moore. He is going to fill in some big shoes for Kelly Owens, our high school counselor. And Ben comes from other previous districts, but also has a University of Dayton degree that he was able to get his master's from. And again, going through the process, I heard some great feedback on him. Seems very even-keeled with going in with the expectations of how we help support our students on longevity as they enter towards graduation. So welcome and congratulations. We'll be voting on it a little bit later in the agenda if you'd like to introduce yourself a little bit.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you guys. Can you hear me? Ben Moore. So I went undergrad and my master's at the University of Dayton, and then I was a teacher for actually 8 years at high school social studies, and then transitioned into school counseling. So I've been doing that for 4 years at the high school level. I'm just super humbled and excited to be here. Honestly, it's one of those things that when I started off teaching, you would have said I would end up in Oakwood. I'm like, yeah, right. It's very exciting. The whole process was amazing, and everyone's been so kind and nice. And so really, I'm just so excited to get to know the students. I mean, that's my favorite part of the job. And then the amazing staff that I've heard great things about. And then obviously just the community. I mean, I live like a mile away, just right outside Oakwood, with my wife and daughter. She's 2, so yeah, I'm just very excited and can't wait to get started.
I'll look out for 2 high school students that I think may not be here for our principal superintendent advisory update. So I'm going to go ahead and have Madeline Zelli come up to our podium to give an annual report. This is something as part of our partnership between Oakwood Schools and the Oakwood Inclusion Coalition, is that she's been able to go and to give this update to the city. And is there anywhere else you went?
Actually, I was, Leanne and I were at the Wright Memorial Public Library just
too.
earlier this evening.
Yes.
We're making the rounds.
Absolutely. So welcome. We thank you for being here. She oversees the coalition as far as championing, kind of keeping us in line and helping us to think through things. And again, this is the annual update, and that she's been here last year at this time also, and just going to provide some remarks for us.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta. I'm Madeline Isley. I serve as the chair of the Oakwood Inclusion Coalition, which is a citizen-led organization that was founded in late 2020 with 3 pillar institutions, the Oakwood City Schools being one of those, the City of Oakwood, and then the Wright Memorial Public Library. So many thanks to those partners for really serving as a foundation, if you will, of that important framework of this citizen-led institution. So as a result of that relationship, it is our obligation to come to you every year with a very brief update. And I have just a handful of slides I'm going to go through. First of all, of course, just from a management perspective, things are going well. Our website, which you can see listed up there, is of course where all of the latest information is available. And I am very pleased to share with you that we also have an email newsletter that's at least monthly, sometimes even more frequently. And we've got 440 subscribers to that newsletter. So, and I see a few heads nodding, so a few of you must be receiving this as well, which is a great way to promote not just things that are happening in our own community, but throughout the entire region, of course. As members of the OIC, the leadership team, and then just general members, that 440 subscriber list, participate in a number of events, some of them throughout the region, and the photos that you see at the very top there is the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial March, which of course is always on his birthday in January, always a balmy day, of course. And then the photo at the bottom is the Crowing Inclusion entry that the OIC created for the Scarecrow Row just this last fall. So very proud and happy to be part of most of Oakwood's signature events, as well as involved throughout the region. In addition, we have produced programs, some of them in partnership with the Wright Memorial Public Library. And I will say, wow, the library has just been so incredibly supportive and so helpful. The Braver Angels Workshop was a particular event that was an all-day Saturday event, bringing members of different political philosophies together to talk to each other and learn more about each other. And I really appreciate the chair of the Wright Library Board, Randy Honecker, suggesting a co-authored op-ed piece, which he and I developed together that ran in the Oakwood Register. But then Braver Angels also picked it up, as did the League of Women Voters. So again, being part of the larger community. We are happy to report that we are in sound fiscal status. Again, thanks to the Dayton Foundation for helping us set up a fund that is much easier for online giving. And I just will close by, again, thanking the 3 pillar institutions, the schools, the city, the library, and where would we all be in Oakwood without the Oakwood Register to share the good word, right? So many thanks to all of our partners. Thanks to Leanne Fulford for joining me today. Leanne is one of the OIC leadership team members. I think Dr. Gupta was giving you printed copies of our annual report. It's just a 3-page document. And I will point out, we had 4 members of the leadership team who had to resign for various all important reasons. And I, again, shout out to Healy Jackson, who of course was elected to the city council, Dan Turbin, Mike Miller, and Jackie Housel. So many thanks to those 4 individuals for serving on the OIC leadership team. Thank you very much, and happy to answer any questions if you have any. All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you. For the board members, in that mail folder, you've got PowerPoint slides plus the annual report that she referenced in there. So thank you. Thanks for sharing with us the annual report. I truly appreciate that. We're going to go to Destination Imagination, our students. Let them out first. They've been waiting very patiently, and I know that we've got 2 people for public comment, and we'll come back and get them. But I just appreciate that our students being here. Dr. Lang, would you like to introduce?
I think you'll really enjoy the curriculum showcase tonight. I invited our 2 Destination Imagination teachers who are the supervisors of this program. So Cece White and Mallory Bright, if you could come up, and then they will introduce the students, and they also have some information to share.
Good evening, I'm Cece White. I am at Smith.
I'm Mallory Bright. I'm the, we work together. I'm the GIS at Harmon, but we work together as a program.
So we're going to kind of do a quick overview of what DI is. We'll go through our teams. We go through our teams, introduce, we have a lot of pictures of our wonderful teams that participated this year. And then we actually have a group that's going to show you what they have performed this year, which is going to be my favorite part.
And this is a photo of almost every kid that we had, besides some younger ones, at the regional tournament at Sinclair this year. They were all wearing their shirts and waiting for awards.
So Destination Imagination is a project-based learning program. The students spend from August through competition in March creating a performance. The performance is kind of based on the parameters they've been given by DI. They get to choose which challenge they want, from scientific to engineering to even service learning, and they spend that entire time preparing for the actual competition in regions here at Sinclair.
So, Destination Imagination, or you may hear us say DI. It's open to all K through 12 students. So we have the rising stars, all the way to the little tiny ones, all the way to, we had a group of 5 senior boys this year that performed, that have been in it for a while. So the teams, they sign up, and some of the teams they group themselves, and then some people sign up singly, and we group them based upon maybe what school they're in, or their age, or interests, anything that we can work with. So up to 7 people on a team. They work together to develop a solution. So we have team managers, and those are the parents. So the parents will typically, sometimes it's a grandparent, or something like that, but they typically will manage the team. Like, they're the coach of the team for the year. And they keep them on track, and they assist and guide and teach them, but they cannot interfere or offer suggestions to their challenge. So I know that's a definite hard one for team managers.
So as we said, DI takes place from earliest as we can in the fall. So we open our registration for it super early in the summer, so that teams can get a jump start. They actually already have an idea of what the challenges are going to be for next year's competition. So we have learned the earlier the better, so they have a chance to be as prepared as they can. Like Mallory said, the most challenging part you ever get an opportunity, it's usually held the first weekend in March at Sinclair, to go down and watch. It's absolutely amazing to watch what the kids put together. And you can see how much passion they put into it and how much love they put into their performances. We go down every year to watch, so we love it.
And then also, the third grade and up, that's the competitive stage. The Rising Stars will be the K1 and 2. They participate for fun and to get experience. And then the third grade and up, they qualify for state tournaments and then also globals. So in Kansas City, Missouri, we actually have 4 teams that qualify for globals this year. We'll show you in a minute, and but 3 of them are going.
So it's kind of twofold. It's twofold that they will make a team, or they create a team challenge, and that challenge they work on all year long. And then they do an instant challenge. An instant challenge is also super unique. They're given this problem that they have to solve, and it might be a stack of things like paper clips, foils, straws, and index cards, and they have to create something that flies at least 6 feet. And then they use that as part of their other points. So we actually sent 15 teams this year. We started with 17, and we unfortunately had a team with a medical issue that could not compete. But we had 15 teams go. And of those 15, 5 were Rising Stars. The K2 teams, they did fantastic. They were adorable. You'll get to see all their great little pictures. And then of our 10 teams that competed, 9 went to state. So it was a great year. And then of those 9, 4 qualified for globals. So that's fantastic. And then 3 of them are choosing to then go to Kansas City, Missouri for globals. So on each slide, you kind of see whether they qualify for state and if they're going to go to globals. And then recognizing those team managers. Without team managers, DI cannot run. The team managers put so much time and effort and energy into their team, into these kiddos, into learning the process, which is just as difficult as actually managing. And so without them, this program would not run. So we have a shout out to every manager on these. We're going to go through all the teams so that you can see their pictures and their managers. But
So this is the first team we have up, is the Rising Stars. This is the non-competitive group, and I think we have a Rising Star in that picture that's here today. 2 of them. Yes, we do. We have 2. So a lot of times families kind of join DI, and then the sisters and the brothers, and they see that, how much fun their siblings are having in DI. So, we have a full family of DI in this. So yeah, do you guys want to kind of give a wave here in this photo? No. Alright. And then, so there were the Turtle Travelers. If you can see their costumes, they were super creative and adorable. So Christine and Yupeng and Michelle and Cuddy were their managers.
So you'll see a name. We didn't mention that. There's a name that the kids create. So Turtle Travelers is the name they created. And that one, this is the red pickle ferrets. How they create them, I never know. But I do love seeing them, and that's how we refer to them once they've been created. Another Rising Star team with Hillary Fort Camp and Ryan Watson.
And this one also, the Enchanted Sea Creatures. And the Rising Stars, their process was they were going to a different place. They were traveling together in the sea creatures, so they kind of have that kind of a theme. But they were managed by Abigail McPherson and Allison Wheeler. That was actually our smallest team. There were 3 of them.
Chubby Infinity Goldfish Whale. With Kelsey Quinn and Stephanie Wright.
And this is a group of 4th graders out of Smith. They're Creative Phoenix Feathers. They actually were a team last year as well. They, at the regional competition, they got 2nd place, and their category was Fine Arts. Jason Coran and Eric Payton.
They made it go to state.
Yes, they went to state.
So this is the Egyptian cow kids.
We'll see in
You'll
a
see them in
minute.
bit. 2nd place to Scientific and also attended state, and their manager was Emily Spielman.
So these are the kiddos that are going to show us their challenge. And then Lucy Cave Cats. We also have no, she was lost out. We did have somebody in that photo, another family member. They did the scientific challenge, and they know the sisters were competing in that one.
So this was Imagineers. This is a team, mixed team from
tiny team, there are only three of them as well, actually. Third place, technical engineering, Doug Jameson and Lauren. Oh, they did go to state, yes.
Lesson Bro Dogs, another one of our teams going to globals this year. They had second place in service learning, and then tied for first at state. Alicia Dunlap.
And they actually got first place as well. It stayed last year and went to globals, so this is their second year.
Our senior high boys team, you can't tell. The Cackleberries, who they qualified for globals, but unfortunately with graduation being a week after, it's tough for them to go, so they are not going, but they went 3 years in a row to globals. So they've been to globals multiple times, but they were not able to attend with having seniors and it being right before graduation. They were first place improv at regional and state with Brent McIntyre. This was the only team that was not able to unfortunately perform at regionals, but they were able to put their performance on for their families, which I thought was fantastic. With the Cheese Boys, and they worked at elementary level Pinball Heroes with Katie Vitakaitis and Casey Davis as their managers.
And those groups staying together next year. They're already ready to go down and determined. Also, we had Tristan Preisler was awarded the Scudler Family Scholarship. He wrote an essay, and they chose his as to be the winner of their scholarship.
That was at regional, and then at state, we also had Colin Beck, state just happened April 6th, who also won a scholarship that was awarded through DI for seniors.
Alright. And now we have the Egyptian cow kids. Yes. And they're going to show us their team challenge. They're going to get their things and start.
Just to clarify, so do they get a project they work on, and they go work on it, and then come back on their own?
They work on it from August through March, actually.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's very descriptive on the things that they need to have included. They get usually 8-minute windows to perform, and so all of this setup, everything they've done is part of the parameters of what needs to be there, but all creativity is.
I just knew my kids did it, but I'm just gonna tell my wife I asked that question. They loved it, so.
Yeah, so while they're setting up, give me access to just kind of share what our role in this second. So what we do is we coordinate through Oakwood. So we solicit team managers, we beg team managers, and we set the teams up, and then we do we support them throughout the year. We hold an instant challenge day where we do a practice instant challenge, and they come in and back, then we do a dress rehearsal day in Herman, and they come and present their solution, and just kind of get the jitters out the week before regionals typically, and we
All the paperwork behind the scenes to alleviate the managers how to navigate all the paperwork so that they can concentrate on the kids, which is really the most important part.
pretty exciting.
It's the year 3243. Scientists complete your quest. This year we'll have our annual scientific fun quest. This year's theme is ancient Egypt. You have one day to finish your Egyptian exploration. Let's go to our artifact exploration, aka my lab. Look at this artifact. Making scientifically absolute dated. I just found out this is a truck. Which means absolute dating. Find out how old it is. What's absolute dating? Absolute dating is determining the age of human beings. It's 3,280 years old. That's a long time. Oh, finally, it was really hot in there. I'm down here. I'm Charlotte. I'm a scientist. I'm Nina. I'm a slave too. Who are you? I'm Cleopatra. This is not what they did to me those years ago. Well, Cleopatra, we're switching here, ladies, and we want to know if you know more about this cow. You don't know about this cow? Okay, follow me. Moo! Let me introduce you. This is my old pal, Hother, goddess of cows. I think it's Heather. It's not. Well, let me introduce you. This is my old pal, Heather, goddess of cows. Oh, please, Heather, will you show us the cow? Do you know where the cow is, Hother? Moo! Moo! Heather says that this is my cow. You cannot pass. We will be really nice to the cow, okay, Hother? Moo! She gave us a thumbs up. As you can see, this is a very important cow. This cow has very, very visible farts. Yum, 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 yum. Did you just see a fart? No, Cleopatra, that's gross. Why would you do that? Gross in our language is delicious. Oh, weird. It's not actually so gross. See? Nom, nom, nom. Nina, how did you do that? It tastes like candy. I don't like candy cane. Well, if it tastes like candy cane, I'm gonna try one too. It does taste like candy cane. Wait, that tastes like Reese's Puffs. I can't believe parts of food that existed. We did some very, very cool scientific knowledge. That's good to know. Thanks for sharing the cow with us, Heather. Oh, I meant to say Heather. You now get out of our time.
So the girls spent from basically August through March creating everything you see. The script, they memorized the script, every piece of art, even your beautiful, everything they've done themselves. And I think that's what's the most incredible part of DI is that the kids really own and make this beautiful creation and the memorization of the script and the writing of the script. So, excellent.
Who are the parent coaches in here?
That I was gonna say, and the students.
Oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, good job. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking time to come in and present.
All right, next up we have public comments, and our first public comment is from Sean Hehan. Yeah.
I'm not sure officially I can follow that act, so let you know that, but thank you for letting me, giving me some time here. I appreciate it. I was informed I had 48 minutes, but I'm only going to take 3. Okay, so I wanted to just share a few points on just a matter that I have a loose affiliation with, but not much, but a strong feeling about something. And there's an issue that happened within the district, and I know that there's a lot of people who have a passion about it in one way or another and want to speak up. And my one message to you folks is a lot of people were going to speak and either declined or backed out, just they felt like some retaliation would happen. So hopefully next time I go to Dorothy Lane, people talk to me, but I hope but I don't know that there's a real feeling there, and I just want you to know that. And I do feel like the transparency is key to any situation that has such an impact on the community. So with that, I'm not familiar and won't speak to anything specifically about a case that led to Paul's removal for the time being of his day-to-day responsibilities. And I hope the decision-making process will the outcome of that will be what's most appropriate, and let everybody know the community that's in the best interest of everybody involved. And it's a sensitive matter, obviously, when you're dealing with children or minors as well. But on Paul, I did have the privilege of knowing him since he entered as a principal, as my two kids were there, I think his first year. And I also coach sporting team, the water polo team here, which I probably had 150 students come through the program at actually elementary all the way through high school over the last 14 years. And many had comments as we moved to go to games and practices and whatnot, and my own kids' observation. The feedback on Paul Waller has always been extremely positive. The experience that people have had with him. I do feel like, and I'm just highly supportive of him, and I would say that my observations with the students and counselors have always been positive as I reflect on Paul, and I do feel like he's supportive when it matters. He's accessible and engaged and serious and thoughtful and empathetic in key situations that I've observed. My wife was on a PTO, and it's been it's a tough one to swallow. And is it 3 minutes? Oh, so I will end on this. That I think that I really do support him, and I will also say on a positive on a note here that somebody mentioned to Dr. Gupta that I was interested in speaking to him, and he reached out and called me. So I want to say that don't to reach out and to make your voice heard and have that, because I thought he didn't have to, and he made that. He made a phone call to me. We had a great discussion, and I respected that a lot. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Dehan. All right, next up, our second public comment, is Margot Hadley. Did you get that right? And I didn't say this before, and I appreciate that you recognize that. It's 3 minutes for each public comment. Thank you very much. I appreciate you keeping it to 3 minutes. So.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate that you mentioned that.
That's pretty rare for
Hello, thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I'm gonna try to do the 3 minutes, and you'll have to cut me off, I guess. I didn't know it was some time, but I'm here today to support our 15-year tenure Oakwood High School principal, Dr. Paul Waller. My husband John and I have had kids in the Oakwood school system continuously since 2004, so 20 years. I don't think there's many parents that can say they've been a witness to and have children in the district also feel sorry for us. For 20 years, and we still have one junior left to go. We hope in your eyes it gives our opinion some credibility and a unique perspective. You've been active in the Oakwood community and schools during this time. I've even subbed for the district a few years ago, and it gave me a lot of appreciation and respect for the teaching profession. I'm currently a PTO committee chair at the high school. My husband John served on the Oakwood Schools Business Advisory Council for several years and volunteered as a finance chair for the Oakwood Schools Foundation from 2021 to 2023. We believed in and wholeheartedly supported the Oakwood School District in our hearts and through our actions. So why am I here tonight? To stand up and support Dr. Paul Waller. Dr. Waller is one of the most talented and dedicated Oakwood School employees I've ever come across in the 20 years that I've been here at Oakwood Schools. He has an extraordinary way to show empathy for and professionalism with all students, combined with a great sense of humor that makes him approachable. He's able to connect with students in a way that does not intimidate them. He's got a calm and caring manner that is obvious to everyone who knows him. We don't really need to speak on his talent and ability to lead Oakwood High School. The track record speaks for itself. Oakwood News and Report, U.S. News and Report ranked Oakwood High School as the #1 high school in the Dayton area. There are also many other impressive accolades, which are all listed on the district website. I'm sure you're aware of those. A few years back, the whole community cheered when Mr. Paul Waller became Dr. Paul Waller upon completion of his doctorate in education, role modeling for students in true Paul fashion that you're never too old to set new goals and be a lifelong learner. There are other personal sides to Paul that really shine in his student interactions. His one for the ages tweets, which soon became his signature tagline, are legendary, not to mention his stint as Elvis at prom. He would always say at graduation that year's particular graduating class was the ultimate one for the ages, like a parent who would tell all their children that he or she was their favorite. And he would close his comments with, "You will always have a home at Oakwood High School, and I will always be your principal." This choked me up and brought tears to my eyes every time I heard it because his warmth and sincerity was undeniable. So as easy for it is, okay, well, can I just go for just a few? Okay, I'll try to wrap it up, and I'm just going to email a copy of this because I do have more to say, and I can just email it to the board hopefully, and Dr. Gupta, you can read it. But I just want to say we're really concerned about the impact of the length of this leave that he's been placed on. I think there was a rush to judgment. It seemed unprecedented given that he did not have any prior issues as far as being put on some kind of suspension or leave or anything like that before. And we're also concerned about, as a taxpayer, the fiscal implications. We understand we don't answer any questions tonight, but we're wondering very much what is the total cost incurred by the district in terms of hours billed by the outside hired attorney and investigator, how much has been paid to date to the interim principal. It is 73 days and counting as of April 15th today. Was any guidance or timeline set by the district and or the board in terms of the length of time and cost of this process to taxpayers? If Dr. Waller, okay, final thought. If he's terminated, what could a very strong case of wrongful termination cost the district if not covered by any kind of insurance? So we just want to say, and again, it takes a lot for me to get up here. I've never spoken at a board meeting. I love it with schools, but we just find ourselves having grave doubts that the Oakwood School District is doing what is best for students with regards to this issue. A mission statement we have supported unequivocally for the past 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hadley. Yes, and please email that, forward that to the board.
I will,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And I believe next up is accommodations from the superintendent.
Yes, good evening. I'm going to go ahead and do the district highlights from here first, and then I'll roll into the survey results from our two surveys that we did with the community. So again, I think about the three buckets of high student achievement, safe school environment, and efficient and effective operations. And so over the past month, first and foremost, I just want to make sure everybody understands or knows that this week is devoted to Military Appreciation Week. Today was Purple Up Day, and so this is the logo that we have across Oakwood, and today's theme was about wearing your purple. So just appreciative of our junior high and high school. I was over at Harmon today. It was Military Kids Club over there. I got to see our students during lunchtime. I am proud to say that, and there's been great work previously at Smith and Harmon with going through a state application process. What I learned was that 16% of our students are connected to military families, 16%. And I think that's very significant. We know that that's a large reason why people decide that they want to move here because of the school district. And Smith and Harmon, a while back, realized that wanted their schools to be places of inclusive communities and went through an application process deemed by the state to receive that designation. They had to do a certain number of things in order to get that. And they were successful. They've had that designation previously. You keep it for 3 years. This fall, Lang Elementary School, the junior high, and the high school submitted their applications, and I'll say that we're just announced last week on Thursday that they received the same award. So now we can confidently say across our district, all 5 of our schools have a designation of being military friendly. I'm just really proud of that. We're going to get some banners ordered. It'll be at the next May board meeting that we'll hopefully have them here in time to present them. Actually, you'll get to present them to the principal and representatives at each of those schools, and we'll hang them proudly, making sure that our families know that we see them. So I think that's a great accolade. The other one is we were notified last month that we have to go through also a program review on our preschool, and so it's called the Preschool Program for Step Up to Quality, and it's an intensive process that has to take place. The criteria is based on our learning environments, our professional development for staff, and family engagement. Haley Goodwin is the one who writes that application, and you've got to submit artifacts that go along with that. And we received 5 stars on that. So that's the highest rating of our preschool program, and we're, again, by the state, and very proud of that. Our academic decathlon team earned their 14th consecutive state title. 14. And I'm so appreciative of that. They're going to be heading, it's actually later on the agenda, that they're going to be approving their travel to go to the nationals competition in Pennsylvania. Our speech and debate team, they received overall accolades of 5th at the state competition, and then it's an individual where some of them received first place awards or second place awards, and a number of them are heading to nationals. Also, they were able to have their banquet, end of season banquet last week, and got a chance to kind of see and just appreciative of how they connected with each other. And again, lots of hard work, just like what we saw with the academic or our Destination Imagination. You're really together for 8 months together working on certain things, and it was tremendous. The Destination Imagination, just to say again that 10 teams advanced to the state, 3 are going to nationals. Junior high and high school yearbook staff, they received an all-Ohio rating on the Ohio Scholastic Media Association, receiving an outstanding on all categories. So that was tremendous. They were able to go up and get an award for that. Our junior high school math team finished 7th at the state math counts competition. And then we just had Young at Art last weekend, or 2 weekends ago. And just really appreciative of our collaboration and communication with our students, our coaches, our staff, our advisors, our relationship with the Ohio Fine Arts, or Oakwood Fine Arts Boosters. There was a dedication ceremony to the Oakwood Schools Foundation for the partnership with Rick and Jane Performing Arts Wing. So it was tremendous. On the safe school environment front, we didn't have school last Monday for the eclipse. I'll tell you that I think it ran smoothly. I'm hoping parents were appreciative that we took into consideration student safety. I think also for me, and this was a byproduct that I underestimated, it was a neat opportunity for families to get to witness that and see that together. And I was just appreciative of being able to kind of watch families and be able to do that when I was outside at the library. Also, this is important and some great work is our lunch menus on our website have been updated to provide information to families to support food allergy awareness. So it used to be just a PDF document and just tell you pizza or tell you what the menu was. now you click on a link, it's maybe not as pretty because it doesn't have something you can maybe put on the refrigerator that I'm aware of. But what it does do, and especially I'm sensitive to our food, families with students with food allergies, it takes you right to the exact ingredients, and then families can make an informed decision about that. That was safe school environment. Efficient, effective operations. There's a strategic plan process that we're in. We've had 2 meetings down. We've got 1 more to go, and we'll be coming forward in the fall with our staff opening day, presenting maybe a new mission statement and some just broad areas that we're going to take a look at that are going to be our roadmap for the next 3 to 5 years. And then just thankful for our athletic boosters. We did a fun spring fundraiser, and we were able to just celebrate and raise funds and for our student athletes in our programs. Finally, last week, the governor gave his State of the State address, and there were a number of state education insights that I just wanted to share with you. Some of them is that these are all things that he shared in words. No plans have necessarily been put in place, or we don't have a framework of exactly how it's going to get executed. So we'll have to kind of see and wait and see how things are going to happen. But first one is require all Ohio schools to adopt a smartphone policy that will minimize Ohio usage by students in the classroom and make those policies available to parents and communities. So a great concern of the effects of phones on students and obviously what they control will be during the day. Craft a new law that is informed by the concerns expressed by the judge in his federal primary injunction ruling to ensure the new law's constitution will accomplish the goals of the original Social Media Parental Notification Act. The third one is a principal apprenticeship program at the Department of Education and Workforce to allow aspiring principals to watch veteran principals in action through hands-on in-school training that will provide better supports for them on the challenges of the job. The next one is requiring career planning to be inserted into the existing graduation plan pathway so every Ohio student leaves school on a career pathway. So those are just some updates along with some great highlights that we have from our students and our staff. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the survey. We'll be working at getting this presentation onto our website permanently. We're actually going to put a blog that's going to go out tomorrow to all the 94 people that have subscribed to the blog, but we'll get that also pushed out to social media, so I encourage people to take a look for that and obviously sign up for future blogs if they'd like that. But again, we'll get the link to the surveys also on our website, hopefully by the end of the week, if not sooner. So taking a look at this survey, and board members, you've got the actual slides in your middle folder if you want to look at it either on the in front of you or on the screen. So, okay, so Fallon Research. Fallon is the company that we contracted with as a research firm. Oakwood Schools has used them in the past to provide a representative survey. There were 352 responses. This was either a phone or a text that community members received to fill out the survey or complete the survey. And then in addition to that, I was a little bit worried about people that may want to give responses and maybe didn't get a chance to get that lucky phone call or text. So we put similar questions onto our website. I use the word similar questions because in a statistical approach that Fallon Research uses, when they give, let's say, a list and ask people to give their number one reason why that they believe to be importance of what we should be tackling first, for example, and they give 6 suggestions, they're looking at your most. They want your number one reason, and that's it. On the online survey, we went ahead and set it so that they could click as many things as they wanted. So you won't be able to necessarily match up word, number for number, the percentages, because it may not match up that way. So they talked about that. I would probably also say that the Fallon Research was, they actually based on representative part of the community, so that they were trying to get similar demographics, age ranges, and things to mimic what the community is. The online survey was an open, non-representative group, and we had 88 responses for that. But again, both surveys will be shared. Here's the themes that I would share that were kind of overall. Oakwood residents love living here. Schools are the driver of why people move or move back to Oakwood, and residents are overwhelmingly satisfied with the quality of education being provided. Oakwood residents are eager for information. This gets into communication I'll share a little bit later. Few indicated they were dissatisfied with the schools, and then some were unsure about key area priorities, indicating a need for more targeted communication, and I'll explain what that looks like a little bit. So these slides actually come from the Fallon survey, so we left them for integrity. Paul Fallon was able to come and talk with our administrative team a few weeks ago. Just due to his schedule, there's only one Paul Fallon, and he'd already locked in going to other board meetings to do the presentations for the districts he contracted with on this board meeting night and the one in May. I was a little bit worried about having him wait until and come in June, so I asked him to come to our principals meeting, which worked well anyway because it gave us a chance to look at the data and talk with him. And so some of these things you'll see are obviously based on the interpretation, the lens that he shared with us. So I know this is hard to read, so I'm going to go ahead and read it for you. Talks about the opinion research data that was gathered through a combination of the live telephones and the interviews, 352 adults that were 18 years or older and had valid residential void for the cellular telephones. The interview took place between February 12th and March 1st, and talked about a little bit of sampling bias or error that could take place within a 5% error, and again, from a statistical approach. They did talk about weighing the estimates based on demographics. They talked about opinion polls to increase that idea of error, such as other unintentional bias or wording or questions, and their hope was to remove as much of that as possible. And just the disclaimer that not all results may add up to exactly 100%. Some people may have opted not to answer a certain question, and they also decided, because it was a phone or a text survey, and they worry about fatigue, so the questions were asked in different order, person to person. Question number one wasn't question number one for the next person. The next one is the opinion environment. So this one talks about whether people were satisfied or dissatisfied with the quality of life in Oakwood schools. This is a general question about the Oakwood community, not Oakwood schools. They wanted a softball question, kind of warm people up. So first of all, are you satisfied living here? You know, here in general, you'll see 85% were strong. You'll see to the right talks about parents versus non-parents. You'll see it's slightly stronger for non-parents as far as satisfaction goes for that. And for comparison, just for comparison's sake, and I'll do this a couple times, for comparison, for timeline, I'm not going to go back and forth between the Fallon research results and the online results. I'll talk about them anecdotally. For this question, just to give comparison, the online survey had a 93% satisfaction to this question. So then the question goes into what was the biggest reason you moved to education or moved to Oakwood. People, number one, ranked in the quality of the schools. You'll see that the parents in that call-out box, 69% said the quality of the schools was their reasoning. 49% under the age of 65. So the schools is by far the number one factor that people decide to move into Oakwood schools. So turning to the question about satisfaction or dissatisfaction with the schools, they asked the question about this one. This is Oakwood schools, not with the Oakwood community. You'll see it's 62% there. That's dissatisfaction, 18%. Parents being 67%. And then you'll see to the right other demographics that are there. One word of caution, this was very important to me, was we was taking the 18% unsure to be negative. And I was kind of adding that into the negative category, and I appreciate that Paul Fallon said be careful of doing that. Unsure means unsure. So you almost have to take that out of, like, don't think of 62% out of 100. You almost have to take the 62% out of 82, sort of thing, if you probably think that way. They don't have an opinion for that. It could be that they don't have, and again, I was able to talk about non-parents in there too, talking about that 59%, and we don't have right there the idea about unsure. But again, data just says something there. We did ask him about, as he talks with other school districts and does this research, what does 62, how does that rank? And he said very high. That is very high for a school district to have satisfaction that way. So again, that context matters. The online survey had 80.7% satisfied. It appears that non-parents and possibly empty nesters aren't sure, or they're unsure and don't have an opinion either way. And the researchers showed that 62%, like I said, was strong. So then he asked the question about the idea of what does general satisfaction look like. You'll see that this is an open-ended question on Fallon. They let people respond, and you'll see that they categorized them in what way that they were able to group them in. And you'll see that the quality of education came out at number 1. And then child being happy or succeeding in school came out number 2, and so forth. The highest remarks talks about the great work of our staff. I do want to spotlight that. You'll see that a little bit later. We have amazing staff. I'm going to read a couple satisfaction quotes to share with you. This is what some of the respondents said. They said the commitment to high quality education, the quality of the teachers and the lower students to teacher ratio, the academic level and communication from teachers, and their constant communication and everything is walkable. Teachers are accessible. The superintendent and principal stand in front of the school in the morning to talk to some parents and students. The next one talks about dissatisfaction. 18% said that it was, which was number one, and this was misspending finances and taxes. Number two was the political, social matters in school. And then third was poor leadership, administration, teachers being 13%. One thing I want to caution is that N size. Remember I said that there were 352 respondents? The N in that bottom box says 52 people responded back that they were, 62 responded back that they were dissatisfied and gave a reason for it. So when we say 18%, it's not 18% of the 352, it's 18% of that 62, which is about 11 people, or 3% of that overall. So just being careful that, looking through some of those things, I had to kind of spend a little bit of time thinking about that as I was putting that into context. Still something that we should be aware of, still something we should monitor, but the context matters. Dissatisfaction, some of the open-ended responses included too much focus on inclusion and other issues instead of education, a lack of diversity, disrespectful comments from elementary students about people who are different, and the lack of appropriate intervention services, lack of support for students who are neurodivergent, the lack of opportunities for students with disabilities to shine to show. I'm only reading how it's written. To shine, show their strengths, to find out what they're good at, to feel included, to feel a valued part of the school, team, cohort, to receive praise from teachers. So now we talk about the rating of the school. You'll see that, first of all, that it ranks it in three ways. There's among all, among the parents, and among the non-parents. This question talks about the top priority. What should be the top priority? So again, here's an example of they were actually, the Fallon research was looking for the number one out of those choices that you see. The online survey said you could click more than one. In this situation, the quality of education is something that should be top priority for us, and it seems pretty consistent across the board, 34%, 33%, 35%. Interestingly, the same thing happened roughly with number 2 and 3 in that respect of student mental health and well-being being a priority, and then district finances. I do want to point out that, I talked about that. My notes are good. I'm tracking right. All right, overall, how would you rate the quality of education being provided by the Oakwood schools? You'll see that they gave it an excellent good 80% on the quality of schools. You'll see that it's high amongst the parents on the right, the subgroup, and then 79% is pretty close. So they're pretty similar. Again, they talked about that this is found, for context, said this is very high compared to other districts that, when they work with them. The next question talks about diversity, equity, inclusion. I kind of talk about this like Goldilocks. Is it too much, too little, or just right sort of thing? And you'll see the percentages in that circle of the question being, is what we're doing in the school district too little, too much, or just right when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion? The online survey said that that too much was 20.5%, 20.5. The right amount was 26%, and then the too little was 35.2%, and the unsure was 18.2%. So again, in that situation, the highest percentage was the too little, and then the just right, the right amount being 26.1. So mimics the same, I guess, hierarchy of this one is on number one being too little. 49% of the non-parents are unsure about this work. This could be about the lead to confusion and misunderstandings. That's something that we probably have to clarify when we think about communications. That's a significant number. And 40%, for example, are unsure. Could be that they're unsure because they're just not attuned to the work that's happening right there. And again, we'll have to lean into that as far as how we communicate and what do we communicate to our community. Next one talks about how we rate the jobs have done to prepare students for the future after they graduate. You'll see that 68% is in the excellent or good category. when you take a look to the right, you'll notice that the percentage increases with the age groups. So the parents currently say 63% are in that excellent good, but you'll see at the 65% or older, give it a much higher reading at 77%. The next one, they talk about the idea about the district managing its budget or finances. 41% have the excellent or good. The online survey for context has 59.5%. So I think that's also pretty strong. You'll see the 65 and older age group have it much higher, also at 54%. Again, it's worth noting that the 28% unsure does not imply negative. It means that we probably need to do a better job of communications. So speaking of communications, this question asks just how do they currently get information or how much they're looking at information following the school district. Somewhat closely being 52%, and then very closely at 30%, not closely at 15%, and then 3% for the unsure. This is a double-edged sword because sometimes no news is good news, and they're not following it because they're don't feel that it's important. It could just be that they believe and trust in the schools. And so, again, sometimes good surveys lead to good questions, and you want to probe a little bit farther into that. Amanda has talked about just the idea about we go into kind of things with like focus groups, and we think about the idea about community relations and community engagement. On this question about how you get your information, the number one, but not far behind, but number one being reading the Oakwood Register newspaper. We had to explain to Fallon this comes out once a week, but talked about the importance then of making sure that we are connected with them and doing that. You'll see that the higher marker goes from among all at 27%. The parents is 3%, the non-parents is 40%. So one of the data points that I found was interesting was 60% of our community are empty nesters. And so being able to use the Oakwood Register, they're not going to go to that blog that I submit. So we'll have to take a look at other ways to communicate and engage them. But also the emails, school emails and newsletters play an important role. Next one talks about the Oakwood Register and their thoughts about it as far as how often that they read or access it. 57% is there, but again, 65 and older group had a 74% part that comes along with that. How would you rate the job that the school does in communicating with parents and community? 54% for this overall, and then the parents were 60%, and then you'll see that the frequent Oakwood Register newspaper readers were also at 60%. On the idea of facilities, just to bring it to your attention, as far as top priorities, this goes along kind of as we think about our master plan for phase 2, addressing Smith and Harmon. So again, we're feeling that there's a priority that goes along with that. Matt Cummins Stadium also looks at that. I'll be honest, we're taking a look at Matt Cummins Stadium, not necessarily from an aspect of turf. I'm not talking about turf. I'm not talking about doing anything with that. We're just talking about things about the safety aspects that come along with that for our students and our visitors. And so we'll be taking a look at those and be thinking about that for our future. Taking a look at the school buildings and security measures. Now, I want to make sure that we didn't define what security looks like. It's interesting that sometimes we could talk about the actual physical structure of it. We could also talk about our processes and practices. This isn't always money related. Sometimes it's just making sure that we've got good practices that come into play. So we'll have to dig into this one more. We got excellent and good being 48%, and then the subgroups being 62% for parents and 41% for non-parents. We talk about the idea about where do you get your information from? Number one in this situation are our classroom teachers. Our classroom teachers, my guess is obviously, if our community knows that they bring a high quality of instruction, they're also our trusted source. And so making sure, I would say, that the takeaway for me is making sure our teachers have clarity on our priorities and our work. And if we do, then we're going to be able to extrapolate that out into the community properly. And you'll see other parents and district superintendent, recent graduates fall after that. From a conclusion standpoint, our key findings, I just want to kind of talk, and I've said this before, high satisfaction of the education and our staff. I want to make sure that if anything else gets spotlighted because our staff work very hard. The second one is that we received very high sentiments that were consistent among our spectrum of various subgroups. And the third one is a need for continuing inspection on our communication regarding the facility plans, our EDI or DI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and then our finance, which we'll continue to do. Our think abouts, we're going to think about for the future the idea about how we can continue to think about the satisfaction and share the good news stories of what's happening in our schools. I think tonight is a great example of our destination imagination, making sure that community members and residents know that. The other part is transforming uncertainty into support. So taking a look really at that unsure percentage and figuring out ways to engage with. So engaging with maybe empty nesters, maybe some young families that their kids haven't started school yet, and talking about some of those different areas. And then the idea about financial trust and through transparency. We'll continue to look at that and think about ways that we can do that. We're continuing to do that already with how we communicate on regular Oakwood scene information. Our website stays vibrant. We're going to continue to kind of look at that, but we want to make sure that our community knows that we're trying to be forthcoming. And then the last one is just expand avenues for community dialogue. This is a picture of a community coffee that we recently had, and we'll continue to have one each month throughout the rest of this school year. I guess this month and next month. And then the idea about maintaining brand consistency, that we want to build trust, we want to reflect our professionalism, and we want to provide that community trust that comes along with it. So with that, like I said, it'll take you, I'm sure, time to process. Really, here's what I really look at this. What was my goal or my end game? This is a baseline. This is a baseline. We're not coming up before a levy. We're not coming for a facility. We're not coming up before something else. And so my hope or my goal is that if we do this every 2 or 3 years, we'll be able to look back at this and start looking at some comparison, and hopefully if the numbers should look like they're getting better in a positive way. And if not, we'll lean into it, and we'll be able to say there's something there right there, because now it's the same community. 3 years have passed, numbers went down in a certain area. Let's take a look into it. So that's kind of what the hope was. So thank you.
Dr. Gupta, if the board may have some questions, appreciate your presentation to the board. I have a question for you, and as you went through and looked at that data, did you have 1 or 2 data points that really jumped out at you, and what was your response to that?
Sure, I think for me it was that percentage on the diversity, equity, inclusion, and I know that gets mixed results, and I think how we communicate and make sure our students feel safe, seen, heard, and valued will obviously hit at different places, and so we'll never necessarily, I think, come to a mutual understanding or agreement. I'm not sure if we will. That might be my hope. But I just know that we're able to be in a place that hopefully we can share our story and then clarify the things that we're doing, because maybe some of it may be a mystique and maybe a misconception of what that actually feels like or looks like. And I think our goal then would be able to share what those things are, and hopefully the community can rally around that.
Any other thoughts or questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we have finished accommodations, public comments, curriculum showcase. Any of you folks that are here, please you will not feel bad if you decide that you want to get up and leave. It's already 8:15. It's way later than we usually go, so stick around. We'd love to have you, but also if you dip out, you are perfectly okay. All right. I'm looking at you, Leanne. So, you're good. Yes, you are all right. All right, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate you. All right, next up is board reports. Do we have them? Okay.
Oh, so recording. Okay, so I heard back from Smith, Harmon, and the junior high school PTO, and just have some fun things to report. So just some highlights. So as far as Smith PTO, they just finished their readathon. It was our first readathon, and it was a success. The students collectively read for 117,140 minutes and raised $22,331 worth of funds. That Smith PTO, Friday Club is back Wednesday mornings, 8 to 8:15. Students can come and get some energy out on the blacktop before school. Students that arrive before 8:05 and participate will get a foot charm to collect, and this goes through the end of the school year. The PTO hosted a family movie night last Friday to watch Equals 3. And then they also are having a bounce house to get out more energy, their after school energy, on April 19th from 3:15 to 5. It's $5 for unlimited jumping, and parents can buy their wristband at the door online. And then Smith Night at Dayton Dragons is Tuesday, April 30th at 7:05 p.m. The fourth graders are performing the national anthem, and the fifth graders will be singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." And just a couple more highlights from Smith PTO. The Teacher Staff Appreciation Committee held their Sweet and Salty Bar last week, and Fun Ice is scheduled for the last week. As far as Harmon PTO, Harmon PTO is recruiting board members and committee chairs. So if anyone's interested, please reach out. They also held an event with Dr. Gupta in March, and those that came were very much appreciated hearing from him. They also approved funding to complete a display case about the history of Harmon that Harrison Gowdy is putting together. They'll be hosting a fundraiser at Kramer's on Wednesday, April 24th from 5 to 8. And they are also looking forward to all of the upcoming end-of-year events. And then finally, the junior high school PTO, so that they also have been busy the last couple months with various events. Most recently, they supported the curriculum nights, which was well attended, and they provided a catered meal to the teachers and refreshments to parents. They also wanted just to note that they're thankful for their partnership with the OSF that enables them to collaborate on grants and enhance classrooms. In addition to grants already given this year, they also provided funding to bring speaker, I don't know how to pronounce this person's name, Harvey Buchanan, I guess, to discuss the book, What Made Maddie Run, and the importance of mental health. And this initiative underscores their commitment to supporting the well-being of students and raising awareness about mental health issues. They did meet yesterday and are finalizing their budget for next year. Their next PTO Zoom meeting is on May 9th at noon, and they too are looking for volunteers for committee chairs next year. And then they also just wanted to say to support the PTO with DLM and Kroger reports. That's what's going on with PTOs.
Any other board reports? All right, next up is item 5, budget and finance.
Item A is the proposal approval and then and now certification. And this is for the greenhouse proposal 200M22029B, and that is for Prospient, and they did work at the greenhouse over the late spring, early summer.
Can you get a motion for item 5A? Call the roll.
Ms. Kawhi? Ms. D. Lorenzo? Dr. Middleton? And Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Item B is the March 2024 monthly financial report. We briefly went over this in the work session, and it's there for informational purposes. Any questions on the report?
The presentation was quite clear.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, any unfinished business before the board, any new business before the board. Item 8 is administrative reports and superintendent recommendations.
Number 8A, this is just informational. You'll see that there's the junior high and high school student handbooks and the student fees. This is essentially a first read. We'll come back at the May 13th board meeting for the adoption, but this gives you and the community a chance to take a look at things first. Letter B is the field trip for that academic decathlon going to Pittsburgh later this month, April 24th, 28th. I did look at the field trip form, everything's in order, and we'll be ready to go to send off 21 students that will be traveling there to compete at the Nationals. Going into number 9, I'm going to take A through C under one motion. I'll go ahead and read them first, though. Letter A is to accept the resignation of our volleyball coach. You'll see a letter in there. Letter B is a a teacher, the custodian at the high school, and then you'll see that letter C is a resignation of the teacher at the 3rd grade at Smith Elementary School. So if I could get a recommendation for items A through C.
All right, can I get a motion for items 9A through C, please?
Second.
Call the roll.
Dr. Middleton?
Aye.
Ms. DiLorenzo? Ms. Kawhi? And Mr. Wilson?
Aye. Number 10, personnel items.
Number 10, A through J, I'll take under one motion. I'll go ahead and read them. Letter A is to recommend to employ Mariah Pierce as custodian at Oakwood High School, level 1, pending completion of and verification of the different checks. She's been a substitute teacher with us. Letter B is employ Scott Yablonsky. He's been working with us for a while. He's now will be heading from the high school, junior high school to Smith Elementary School for a vacancy there. Letter C is to employ Mr. Benjamin Moore as the counselor at Oakwood High School. And letter D is to employ Logan Baker as the social studies teacher at Oakwood Junior High School. Letter E is the continuing contract. There's a process that Mrs. Couch had worked with you to inform you of the process, and then sharing kind of the information and feedback. Ryan Connolly, a teacher at Oakwood High School, social studies teacher, completed the requirements for continuing contract for this recommendation. And then letter F is for Matt Dieters, social studies teacher, also at the high school, with all the completion and submitting work that he's done. Letter G is the supplemental contracts and volunteers for the 23-24 school year. Letter H is the recommendation to approve the attached list of substitute teachers, all requirements, pending all requirements. And then letter I is the recommendation to approve the following flexible supplemental contracts for the 24-25 school year. You'll see names and positions to that. And then letter J is the recommendation to approve the following supplemental contracts for volunteers, again for the positions that are posted.
All right, can I get a motion for letters A through J, please? Call the roll.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
Aye.
Ms. Kawhi? Dr. Middleton?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilson?
Aye. Next is we're going to move into executive session for the specific purpose of considering investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or student. Can you get a motion, please, to enter into executive session? Call the roll.
Dr. Middleton?
Aye.
Ms. Kawhi? Ms. DiLorenzo?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
The record
Thank
show it's 8:21.